All right. Well, welcome back to That's Growth Ops. Again, for another engaging discussion, I've got Chris Nolt here from Growth. And, as usual, before we get into the nitty gritty, how's the week been, Chris?
I like this week a lot. I felt like this was, as you and I have chatted throughout the week, very long days every single day this week. But the energy is there and the excitement is there and the progress is there. It was awesome. I love it.
It's awesome. Got
Definitely.
the energy flowing. I felt it this week. I felt the energy flowing.
Yeah. I'm feeling my age though, too. Like, what was it, Wednesday? I'm like, third long day. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I did, but man.
Yeah, we're not 20 years old anymore.
No, man, not at all. But it was really fun. That was a really fun week this week.
That's good. What made it fun?
So I definitely was more into, I met with a lot of potential customers and customers this week, which I had not done as much of. So I think the specific fun thing was having the chance to listen to some of the growth related problems our customers and potential customers were having, and being able to kind of use my working genius of, iterative problem solving to just work through some of what they're dealing with. Lots of those things growth can help with. Some of those things, I think it was just a little therapeutic for them to have someone to talk to that can walk it out with them and didn't sound, like a crazy person. I liked it.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's a good week. I think for me, like as I said earlier, high energy.
A lot of energy.
Oh man, like Rick, that kid has so much energy that it's infectious, and he's just eager. So like, it brightens my day when Rick and I get to do our sync in the morning, and we just get to talk about like, hey, what's going on today? What are we gonna crush out? How are the metrics looking? Like, bam, bam,
I
bam,
love
bam.
hearing that. Like,
Yeah,
I've known Rick a long time now, several years, and so I'm happy to hear that that's what you're experiencing, because I really think that's a big value he brings to growth is the energy and the willingness to fall forward. And I'll never stop saying it: positive attitude and growth mindset. Like, he is a growth personified human.
that's awesome. Yeah, he was tapped properly for the community side. That's just perfect.
I feel like a proud parent right now. Thank you. I hope Rick listens to this at some point. Um, that's that's why we put him in the role with no experience, never marketed, sold some stuff. If I wanted somebody that cared, he's got good business acumen. So, and he can put pieces together. And I've mentored him for a couple of years. So he was
he's
like
gold. He's gold.
a mini me, if you will.
That's what you want. It's perfect.
Yeah,
and
much
he's
better looking, far more charming. Brazilian.
And he's not at least in my opinion, I don't know about yours, but he's not afraid to challenge the ideas. It's like, you know what? Maybe we try this way. Yeah, well, maybe.
I get a little fear. A healthy amount of fear is okay against the elements, but no, I agree. He's always willing to try something new, regardless of failing, which is,
And I think that's important especially in the role he's in and in marketing in general and anything around just growth, right? Is you've got to be willing to throw your hat over the wall and fail. And if you're not willing to risk it, you're not willing to learn anything. But he's like, you know what? I'll give it a shot, and it works or it doesn't work. And when it does work, he's so pumped, and that's what's infectious.
It's funny, taking what you said though about like throwing that over the fence and like experimenting. You know who does not want to hear that? Clients that need lead generation or student acquisition services. They don't like hearing that everything is an ongoing experiment and every variable is a constant changing variable. I swear, no matter what happens, they feel like, oh yeah, you're just paying X amount of dollars for this. And that's it. And whoop, that'll be $8,500 a month. I'll talk to you when your contract's done. It's very strange. I
I
digress.
get where you're. There it
That's
is.
gonna be the name of the
There it
podcast.
is.
I digress.
I digress. I get where you're coming from on it. I agree, but I also think like there's got to be a first time for everything. Is that experiment, or should that experiment be run for your clients? Not in that sense.
Very
If you've
good
never
point.
done it before, but for those that have a repeatable process, a framework to get results, you know what? Every business is a bit of a throw your hat over the wall that you're going to work with, but you know what you're doing. So it's like a controlled experiment.
You are sharing thoughts that make me proud to have you on the team. It's like very valid and very accurate. Um, hey man, thank you. You're right. And it's
Awesome.
recorded, so you're welcome.
Yeah, I'll put that little clip next to my desk and have it play whenever I need some motivation.
You are right. You are right.
There we go. Look, let's talk a little bit about what's been going on in the world this week. So I got some funny news. I got some cool news. But I'm going to start off with Google Analytics. They just had a big Google event, and they just released a new feature on Google Analytics that's going to allow you to see real-time users even sooner than you've been in the past. Before it was like the last 30 minutes. Now we got it up to the last 5 minutes. So what I think is awesome about that is, if you just posted a newsletter or posted on social media about something that you're doing, you can get insights so much quicker about how that message is spreading. And it's going to, I don't know if it's going to detract people from doing things because they're going to get so lost in the data, or if it's going to improve things. What do you think?
I think it's easy to get lost in the data. For me, when I saw the update, I think I read it this morning or yesterday afternoon. Because of the difference of 30 minutes to 5 minutes in my universe, and my universe being like B2B primarily. Obviously, we do some school stuff. I do some B2C stuff, but didn't seem like a big deal. I haven't thought through. I haven't like spent time and hypothesized, but I can't really think outside of if you were like segmenting a database and you're like, hey, if we send this email and we're trying to sell Nikes and let's do one with an aggressive discount to see if people move, and you need to have like rapid fire second, third choices outside of like that scenario, which I just came up with on the fly. I can't think of a reason why I would care.
Yeah. I
Which
think it's
means
going to have a big play on the e-com side more than the B2B side. But I don't know. There's some stuff in B2B that sometimes FOMO kicks in and you want to get into it.
You have very aggressive salespeople that want to have gang. I get it. I mean, hey,
Chris, I saw you were on my website 5 seconds ago. Let's talk.
Yeah, I have a contract. Are you ready to sign now? This is the moment for you to decide your fate. Are you in or are you out? Per my last email.
5 seconds ago. I saw you opened it. What'd you think?
If you can click, you can sign. Okay.
Exactly. Canva had Canva Create there. Bunch of new features out on the way that I think are going to be pretty cool for any team. One that really caught my eye is they have this new data autofill. So, when you create one template, you can fill it with a bunch of data and just have it generate all those graphics for you. I think that's we're leaning more into this automation space, and I think that's going to help a lot of people. And if you're not jumping on the train for automation and AI, you're going to get left in the dust. So that's an interesting feature. And then this bulk create feature too. What I really like seeing is they're bringing in more ad integration. So Meta, Amazon, Netflix, all that, where you can create your creative right inside of Canva and push it to those ad networks.
I think that's really smart as long as that network connects to your whole marketing ops network, which connects to your CRM ecosystem.
Precisely.
That's my
2 cents. Explain yourself. Why is that so important?
Okay. It's important to integrate your ad delivery software. Wait, let me just take it back. It is important to integrate your ad software into your marketing ops and CRM ecosystem because you want to know what ads are working on what platforms, what contacts are being brought in, leads are being brought in based on those to help you make better campaigns. It's also important to know, maybe perhaps on the sales and service side where they originated, they may have different opinions or thoughts in the sales or service process based off of those origin stories. That's why it's important. So I hope that Canva, because it integrates with HubSpot now, right? So you can upload an image. So I hope that they already have like the baseline friendship to expand Canva's ad delivery platform into a tool like HubSpot.
Well, and what I was thinking on that too is because of the integration, like they demoed it with Salesforce, but I'm assuming the integration is with any CRM. I've got to dig into it, so that's why I say I assume. But what you could do, so you got that data autofill functionality, and you've got the ability to push the ad creative out. What if you tie it to HubSpot, have it generate a whole crap ton of personalized assets, and then push that out to ad networks, and you do that automatically?
That would be hot. ABM, that would be magic.
I mean, that would be, and that's kind of what it got my head going to, is like, well, what if I could do this? What if I could do that? And just be able to do it in a semi-automated fashion. I mean, you still got to have some level of human interaction in it, I think, but being able to just build a list in HubSpot, like an active list that's consistently changing, and then have that data feed into Canva, create a bunch of graphics, push those out all automatically.
I think Canva really messed up in choosing the number 2 or maybe number 10 marketing software to demo that with, and not the number 1 marketing software, which is HubSpot, to demo it with. Turn that into a reel. Outside of that, Canva, number 2 is fine.
Yeah, the method they were using to present it, and this is no way to defend Salesforce, was
to see if it works with a clunky system. Nice.
If it can work with a clunky system, imagine what you can do with an awesome system.
I mean, that's how I demo Salesforce. You want to see the worst version of what you can do?
But the thing that I liked is, let's say your director of sales sends a Slack message, hey, can I get a report on our overall sales performance for the last 7 days? I mean, you can pull up a dashboard in HubSpot and do that too. But making it pretty, I mean, data is one thing, but making it pretty and branded and all that's a little harder to do in a lot of these platforms. What if you could just go in Slack and go, hey, at Canva, give me this last 7 days. And it takes a pre-created template, fills in all the data, pulls it in, boom, there it is, and you're ready to do your sales presentation.
I know a company that we just finished onboarding, like a transportation company in California, who I know will never listen to this. But if they had this function, they would never use it. But this is like the amount of times I've heard, like, we need reports. They have whatever that number is. Let's say it's 100 times in 90 days. Arguably way too many. They've 10x'd it. So to be able to build that for them, I would do for free, just so they can do that and just report anything that they want. As long as they put like something cute in it, you know what I mean? Like a strawberry shortcake, or like a something hilarious. It's like a little Easter egg.
Now that almost sounds like a throw your hat over the wall experiment.
Throw the whole thing. Just take the whole thing, throw it lightly.
Well,
that's cool.
Enough of Canva. I mean, there's a lot of things. If you haven't checked it out, go grab the YouTube of their keynote. Really cool stuff in there. And they did a secret upgrade where if you go into Canva and you click the For You button like 7 times, it'll unlock this new mode of Canva. It's pretty cool.
I thought that was, I'm going to do it.
It's a great way to roll out a secret upgrade or a beta of the new UI. I don't know. But enough about Canva. Some funny news, and I'm not going to do this justice by just reading it, so I'm going to bring it up on the screen. I can't believe this is a conversation we're having. Actually, I kind of can in general.
It has to do with a G and a H? Okay, cool. Never mind. Continue.
Indiana judge rules tacos and burritos are, in fact, sandwiches.
You know what's more disappointing? I read that article too. So what's most disappointing about that is the reason that they went through the exercise to begin with. It was so a place could open up a second location. And I just think it's like very Midwest to assume that because we use a word to describe a thing, that we have to take a culture's other thing and then we have to force narrative into something. You're not in the US, you're in Canada. So I'm curious how you feel. To me, I read that and I was like, what a messed up thing to do.
It's like the Tide Pod shot that I sent over
That's
yesterday.
a Florida thing, I bet.
I
That's
bet.
from
To
all of
me,
us in the United States, except from Florida to you. Please know they are different, perhaps prehistoric creatures. I'm not sure, but if Florida does a thing, that is not what the United States is doing. Just
yeah,
want to
it's
clarify that. Asterisks.
we've got our own qualms up here about certain things
Do you guys
too.
have a Florida in Canada? Is there like a part of you that you wish wasn't there anymore?
Well, I don't have much nice things to say about. No, I'm not going to go there. See, I'm Canadian. We're too polite.
I respect that.
we're we're polite to your face, anyways.
Yeah.
No, there isn't. I mean, I'd say so. Alberta, where I'm in, the province, it's to me, it's like a mix between Texas, Colorado, and depending on where you are, Florida. Yeah.
That sounds like a rough place to be. I don't.
Well, see, because our provinces are much bigger than your states, you could essentially break Alberta into three separate states: the northern part, the center part, and the southern part. So,
Okay.
I
What are
don't.
some of the similarities that make you describe it to be similar to Florida? Is it hot?
Southern Alberta, definitely hot. I would say we got a lot of crazy antics that happen out of here because we're just big oil and gas place, right? So you've got money that gets thrown around, big toys that people buy, doing stupid shit. But like ethos, I'd say, is a bit more like Texas. Um,
That sounds
very
like
very
sounds more.
conservative.
So that's
Yeah, it's
yeah. Oh, I'm very conservative. That's always fun. I don't want to limit our viewership.
exactly. Let's move on from politics.
Chapter
Um,
7.
on that note, deep dive discussion. I was chatting with you a bit about this earlier today, but recently reviewed a benchmark survey about website age impact performance. So, does the age of a website impact its performance, and when is the right time to update your website? To kick things off with that, here's some interesting insights. The survey revealed that most respondents believe a website should cost less than $10,000. That was very interesting. And a smaller segment thinks it should cost between 10 to 20,000. What are your thoughts on these cost expectations?
So one, I think it's important to name the benchmark parties. So like whatever company and data box that put it on, make sure that too funny. So the cost of a website, I don't think websites in 2024 should be all that expensive. Like from a structural engineering standpoint, because it's not the webs. Well, depends. Do you loop in on-page technical SEO with that, copywriting, graphic design, imagery side, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're not, and you're just, which I think is impossible, and you're just saying the website without any copy or any images, 10,000 general rule. I think for most companies in the United States, which means that they're less than, I don't know, 5 million. I think that's like 85 or 90% of the businesses in the United States. I think 10K can go plenty far on a platform like HubSpot CMS, with or without a theme, which is why I start there with almost everybody. Do you want nuances and like product libraries? Okay, then you build from there. But your foundational element of a website, $10,000, I think, should cover the CMS, right? Whether it's WordPress or if you do have a good one like HubSpot, it should cover the design, images, copy assisted with AI writers, and structural optimization for search engines based off of research-based information. I would also like to caveat any of those you can do more than that, but a baseline. So like a SEMrush audit. What is their product? Who are they trying to serve? Little chat GPT magic. Okay, cool. These are your words and this is your phrasing.
I mean,
10K, 8 pages.
Yeah. Like I've seen B2B businesses with success with a single page site. I don't recommend it, but it works. And I think that that's the key lever there is that it works and performs. So sitting down and digging into that a bit deeply is like, when you're evaluating your site, how are you evaluating it? What's the scorecard? And setting those benchmarks, like we need to have so many visitors, we need to have so many leads, we need to generate so much revenue. It can't just be that it looks pretty.
I mean, I think you just read my last email to like a company I said. I'll pull it up on a future recording. But basically one of the lines was, I've seen a lot of really beautiful websites not generate a single closed won deal.
Yeah.
Let me know if you want one of those sites.
Well, and I think that's got to bear into the conversation of the investment too, right? Like, as you were saying earlier, is that just for the design? Does that include the technical SEO aspects? Does that include the copy? Does that include the imagery? I think that's what a lot of people are overlooking when they go, okay, well, what was the investment in this website? And digging into it and going, well, it's not just a website. We got a marketing strategy here as well. We've got conversion paths set up. We've got things that are going to make this website actually work for us.
Yeah. I mean, not to like overcomplicate it, but there's like a difference between a tent and a house and a mansion, right? So like there's certain ways to make a website more expensive, and it's by doing more things. But if you can equate everything to deliverables and time, you should be able to structurally engineer a website before it's built, just like you would ask for a blueprint before you build a house. But if you want to go quick and fast and you just want to pop a tent for a little while, it doesn't need to be that expensive. Use a template. Don't do any research. Add some images. Pop a tent and sleep outside.
Yeah. No. Glad we're on the same page. That's a good sign.
Yeah, we haven't had this conversation before, so yeah. If you're like, hey, yeah, thank you. I'm glad we are again of like minds.
Oh man.
That's why at Inbound last year, I know you weren't at Partner Day, but when they announced the CMS AI tool to help like auto build websites, especially for small businesses, I was like, thank God. I'm so tired of having to do microsites and then have to pay for it. Like, we have to charge you. I love the fact that you can just hop on and make a website now. It's great.
Do you remember a conversation we had maybe a year ago, maybe two, where we sat down and we're like, what if a client could say what they want and here's my brand colors and it would give us a mock-up? Do you remember that?
I do. That was one of the reasons I was so happy when I heard it in the Partner Day. I haven't seen anyone say that they've done it and have shared it. I will say that.
There's a couple. I'm not going to name them because I want to do my due diligence on it and actually say, because there's a couple out there that apparently you can say, I want to build an e-commerce store that sells t-shirts and it'll whip up the whole site.
I don't hate it. But again,
is it going to work? I don't know. But my opinion is if we can get to 0 to 60 in less time and get you actually starting your growth engine, that's more important.
You also there's a company we're dealing with right now, and they're a $500 million a year. They sell B2B. They do ethically sourced food items and sell to Whole Foods, right? They've had the same website since 2013. They've hired a new marketing person. She's a former HubSpot agency employee. And supposedly this person's going to drive their next hundreds of millions of dollars, which maybe. But when we talk about a website, and I kind of try to pull it back and compare to what they have now, my push was for a $10,000 website, a couple of extra thousand if they want to add products in the HubDB database. But 10 for the website, 10K, don't have any weird animated globes that show the different items, just keep bare bones. But having that explanation to them, they're like, well, why is everybody else telling us that we need a $50,000 website? And I was like, if you have the budget for a Ferrari, I can sell you a Ferrari, but as your non-paid CMO or whatever you want to label me as, I'm telling you what you need. And like, you need this, and we can get it done in 2 weeks. And they're just like, that is so different from how we've interviewed 5 other partners, and no one said that. I was like, that's kind of my MO.
It's not kind of your MO, it is your MO. I've been on enough calls with you now to know exactly your MO on that one.
Yeah. Prescriptions from growth and anybody else is not apples to apples, that's for sure.
What's interesting about that, even in how you said that, is the next part of the survey from Databox's benchmark survey was that the biggest hindrance to doing website design projects or redesigns are typically budgetary constraints, a lack of time to invest in it, and a concern that they're going to lose some SEO juice. So
the last part's interesting, right? Because it's just a
yeah,
process.
I hear that though on so many calls, like over the last 5 to 10 years. I mean, it's gotten better. I don't hear it as much. Maybe it's the caliber of client. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But it used to come up a lot is, okay, we're going to do this new site. How is this going to affect our traffic?
Well, I
Well,
think that's because SEO used to be a mystery black box.
yeah.
And I think there, like I had mentioned, there are processes for adopting a new website. Google's own John Muller, John, who runs, from my paraphrasing, search engine optimization program at Google. I've been following him forever, maybe 10 years. And he's been very honest about in the past how there's just a technology gap that would allow Google to say, oh, everything's been changed. But now there's a process for updating your site. You can update Google search engine and let it know. Or search console, I'm sorry. You can do 301 mapping and redirects, obviously. I think it's a fair understanding, since if we know the tool of Google, it's a robot. A robot is assuming it's going to go into a door and see the usual things, maybe see a new blog or a new image. When it opens the door that it's already been in and it's structurally different, if you make it less structurally sound, you're going to get dinged. If you make it more structurally sound, you'll actually see the opposite, and you won't see an SEO drop. You're going to see an SEO increase. So if a client is curious, what should happen is either paid or unpaid, depending on the business. I'm not here to tell you how to run it. You should do an audit on your current website, which anyone can do. There's a free website grader on growth, #shameless plug. But audit your current site. Tell you where you're at from an SEO perspective, 0 to 100. And if your company produces hundreds and their website is currently at an 80, you can say, we're going to follow best practices, and you're not going to see a dip. You're going to see an increase. Mm-hmm. And I know that that's true.
Well, and that is a surprising statistic or too, because like I know I've converted hundreds, if not thousands, of sites over from WordPress to HubSpot CMS. And there has been every time a natural massive increase in findability, indexability, score, everything, every time I've made that transition, where I've taken a site that was at an 80% and brought it over to HubSpot and not really changed much in terms of structure. And boom, it's up to like 90 plus. And then the traffic just shoots up. Like it's crazy.
Load speed is so important. Like the biggest thing I see on every website, the first thing I do when I look at an old website when somebody's talking to us is like right click, open the logo image. If it's huge, I don't even need to look at the rest of your site. I'm just like, hey, have no fear. Whoever built your website was a child, and you're going to be in good hands.
I do something similar. I check if it's a PNG versus an SVG.
Yeah, God, if it's an SVG, you're like, hey, by the way, like your website swallowed a bag of rocks. It is drowning in Google's sea.
Oh,
so there's we're on the same page again. Plus 5,000.
That's the other side to this study that I found really interesting was how, and it kind of goes to what you said about going and checking out the website grader. It'll be in the show notes, by the way, if you want to link to that. The audit's one part, and that's going to show you how your site's performing from a technical perspective.
Yep.
But what I really recommend people do is build a scorecard. Put your KPIs that are important to you on that scorecard. Am I bringing X amount of visitors per month? What is my conversion rate? How many pages are being viewed per session? How much time is being spent on those pages? And use that as your scorecard, because no matter who you work with, if you don't have that, you're always going to end up with the same results. You can't change the results if you don't know the data. And here comes the famous line. Performance measures, performance improved.
And I quote from Chris. How funny was that when Jeff posted that on LinkedIn? I was like, I told you. It's, by the way, for anyone who's listening, I do not say performance tracked as performance improved ever. Rich says that. Richard says that. And so I have jokingly stolen his line, and I break it every time I try to say it. This is my first time getting it right on the first try.
Well, apparently I didn't even have it right either. So, it's all good. It's all good.
A rose is a rose.
Yeah. But the important part is like build that scorecard and not only do the technical audit through the website grader, show notes, put together a scorecard, use that to check how your site's actually doing. Because I think when we look at, is this site good? Is it excellent? Is it poor? It's very subjective until we actually put data and KPIs to it.
Yes, agreed.
Is it generating revenue? No, then the site's not good.
It's hard to get past that barrier, especially if the person on the other side is maybe, we'll say, tenured for the sake of keeping it PC. But tenured people have rigid opinions about how things operate. So it wouldn't be my first time to be like, I'm happy to do it your way and charge you $50,000 just for the sake of doing it and let you revise this 72 times. As long as your CEO is cool with you giving me an extra 40,000 to just say, okay, I'll do it again. Okay, I'll do it again. Applied by us.
I mean,
could have had it done in 2 weeks, though.
You could just put your money into TV ads, trade shows, and things that really you just can't measure.
Yeah, I think hand flyering should really come back. As long as everyone's using recycled paper.
Yeah. How about a banner on the back of the plane? That's got to be equally as effective.
All right, guys, I am ready to crush it this year. My 2025 sales plan. We're going to have a big old plastic, terrible for the planet signs all over the place. Fleet Week, San Francisco, Ultra Music Festival, Florida, you name it. There's a lot of people there. They're seeing that banner. And there's not going to be a QR code, but they're going to let us know. There is a company
just
like
a
that.
Shot.
They're called Stella Rose Wine. They're a California winery, and they do have, and in Florida I've seen them, and in California I've seen them fly these planes with these banners to sell what I would say is not wine I would like to drink. No matter where you put that wine, I'm not buying it.
You could tell a lot about a company about how they invest in themselves. I'm not saying airplane ads don't work. I mean, maybe from an awareness perspective, they might. I don't know. It's kind of cool.
I mean, college spring break, how else are the kids going to know where to go? But outside of that, I can't think of it.
They're just going to follow the Red Bull truck. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I've been on quite a few spring break Red Bull campaigns in my day, and you're right. They have a lot of very cool vehicles.
They do. So segue from all that, I think what's also important to talk about, because like I said, the good, the exceptional experience, all that, the concerns that people have about moving forward with a web project or a marketing strategy, I think this is where I need to call out the agencies that they're working with and what we are faced with, even just from what I'm looking at in the study. What is it here? They're afraid of downtime. They are afraid of the content migration. There's possibly platform limitations. And if you want to see this graphic, there's a link on my LinkedIn and you can take a look at it. But essentially, what I'm seeing as the issue is the agencies or the sales reps for the agencies aren't doing a good enough job educating and informing these decision makers, because these fears should be squashed by this point. There's a real opportunity to shift the mindset of the decision makers to go like, look, we've got this down. And what I'm really like present to about it is in the sales conversation, that company hasn't done a good enough job squashing those fears by the way that they're presenting themselves, the way that they're presenting the proposal. Like if I were to look at how you present a proposal, what I really love is here's what we heard. This is what we think you said. And here's the direction we think we should go. And in nowhere in there do I see any concern about these items that I've mentioned. I never hear it when I've been on any of the calls. Oh, good job.
Thank you. Yeah. It's like I've done this before, maybe 20 years of it. It wasn't always like this. Positive mindset or positive attitude and a growth mindset works every time.
It does.
That's also the difference between consultative selling and being a consultant and selling task. And to me, each of the things that you mentioned downtime, SEO score. I'm going to redo our why you should buy a website from Growth Deck, and I'm going to create a new slide for each of those topics. Here's some things that everybody concerned, and just hit them right in the
Wash
front.
it out. Yeah. Because, like, I mean, they're. I'm not saying they're not valid concerns, but one, it shows to the lack of education around the subject matter. Because like you said earlier, hey, it's gonna be a $50,000 engagement. Well, why? Well, we're taking care of all these concerns for you. That's why.
Luke Summerfield is I think whatever his job is at HubSpot, I believe it is around CMS and some sort of managing of that. So Luke, not here to paraphrase your job title if I get it wrong, but I think that was his vision. When I first met him, he came from an agency. When he joined HubSpot, again, paraphrasing his life, I apologize if it's not accurate, but came from an AG, worked at the HubSpot, and just realized that websites were being sold incorrectly and unfairly. Now, there's companies like if you are an international D2C and B2B brand, and so you need to be able to change products, buy products, have inventories, multiple languages. That is a lot of work, and a lot of work equals the dollar amount. But almost nobody needs that. So if you're everybody else, you should be able to rely on a tool like HubSpot that was origin story is helping small businesses grow better. And you should be able to overcome the friction of a website in a fair and reasonable amount of time and money.
Yeah. Hey, I get everything that Luke was saying. Like, I was a huge, and still am a huge evangelist of growth-driven design. The traditional model is completely broken.
It's impossible. It's so hard to explain it to people, though. Tenured people, you talk about growth-driven design, what they hear is, oh, you want to do a bad job first so you can make it better. And I'm like, no, you have a minimal viable product. Your website's not doing these things. It's not showing up when your people are looking for you. It's not accurate information if they do see you. It doesn't play by Google's. Your website takes 3 seconds to load. Okay, I'm going to just say them. The company I referred to earlier that I would love to have the strawberry shortcake automation for. Yondale is the name of the company. Yondale Companies is their new website. Just went live this week, everybody. Visit the website and count to 5, and the website will still not have loaded. I don't know what else I need to say about that. It's very cute. But not a single person. I didn't build it. Please make that clear. How do you know it's not going to close anything? Because it starts off with like a embedded video in the hero that's like 27 seconds long. That's why it takes so long to load. Also, it takes 5 seconds to load, and no one's going to watch it because we use websites like this now.
Well, and that's the other thing. People don't design for the human experience. They design because it's pretty. We need to fix that. As you said, people aren't going to watch that video. If you want to have a video, put it behind a modal, not a pop-up, but a modal, and have it load when it needs to load. Don't occupy your whole page with it.
Yeah, maybe about us. If someone's interested in the company, that's a cool place to put a video about the company.
Yeah, or throw it in your sales enablement materials, not just public-facing stuff. Well, I spent $3,000 on that video. Well, you shouldn't have.
We'll continue. I think the best thing we can do is continue to show up for our customers, even if it's different from what they were expecting, and continue to do our best to educate and understand that our point of view, even though it's based on data and lots of experience, may not be what they're looking for, and that's okay. If they're looking for efficient, informative, professional, empathetic, consultative support, talk to us. At least talk to us, even if it doesn't pan out.
Great call to action, Chris. Great call to action.
Thank you. Click here, subscribe.
They've got to be there. No, it's interesting because you touched on it a bit there at the end about the experience. And what I will say is it's like we had this experience a little bit this week where do you put your best foot forward? So how do you turn those experiences into positive ones? And are you always putting your best foot forward? I think that kind of segues into this conversation about turning challenging client experiences into successful opportunities. I don't know where I'm going with that, but that's on my mind.
Well, it sounds like you had an experience with that happen this week, but yeah, I don't get it right 100% of the time.
Yeah. I think part of it is do the best job you can, be happy with what you're doing, and enjoy it, and you will always produce your best work.
Agreed.
Right. And then I don't know, a little bit anything or insights that you want to share about what we've talked about today. Is there any other topics on your mind?
I mean, we did do an ABM session this week that I thought was a fun exercise, both in preparing for it and then presenting it, and in the questions that we got at the end of it. And plus, it's a great shameless plug for ABM because I want to gobble up that SEO. So,
well, we'll throw the link to it because the replay should be up now. We'll throw the link to it in the show notes. How did the Death Star come about? How did that?
So we talked about creating the best target account list, not a target account list. And then I started with defining of what a target account list for account-based marketing is, which is usually boils down to whatever the sales directors, these are the companies I want to sell to list, not a who are we most equipped to sell and service. Your best target account list is that. It's based off of your CRM and sales and marketing and service data mixed with the experience of your sales, marketing, and service teams. You build a list, minimum of 10, 15, 20 companies that you love to work with. And if you have time, do an inverse of the ones that didn't go well. Take those similarities together to inform your list building search, and it works. That's how we build our list for our ABM customers, and there's no textbook that outlines what we said, but experience shows, and logic is sound.
Love it. I got to preview the deck, everybody, before Chris did the session, and he knows I'm a big Star Wars nerd. So when he had a photo of the Death Star and he was talking about blowing up Alderaan,
or not, the whole kicker is right. So you spend all this time, money, effort, and energy, and you build this Death Star so you can shoot it at a planet and destroy it. But imagine if the Death Star did all the work. They created this Death Star, and then they shoot and they miss. That doesn't mean the Death Star wasn't a powerful laser. They just aimed at the wrong place. But I bet you everyone would be fired or force choked by Vader if they missed a planet. So I thought it actually made a lot of sense.
It does.
Do all the work and then aim it in the right direction. Use a best target account list to be your Alderaan and smoke them.
I just love how you went with the dark side versus the light side on that one. No, it's great.
The farther I went into it, hey, aim it in the right direction so that that way you can then murder them all. It's not the example doesn't play out well the farther you go down, but just initially, it makes perfect sense.
I just like how well you sprinkled it in. When I try to bring in my inner comic book nerd, my Star Wars fandom into the things I'm creating, it gets a little overkill. So you did a great job.
I'm a cool nerd. So
you're a cool nerd.
I've had to navigate being a cool guy and a nerd for many years.
Oh, it's a hard life to live, man.
Just got a little dab. You got to stick to the things that everybody know too.
Awesome. Well, hey, look at this. It did not feel like 40 minutes has passed so far. This was great. So just quickly summarize some of the stuff we talked about. Maybe you've got some additional pieces you want to throw in here, but we talked about Canva's new launch. We've talked about Google Analytics changes for real-time data. Tacos are now classified as a sandwich. And we talked about, does website age impact performance, and when's the right time to update your site? Anything else you want to throw in there?
We talked about Alderaan.
We talked, ABM and Alderaan and target account lists.
And no, I think that covers it, man. It's exciting to have a safe place for people to hear what's in our brains.
Or not.
I hope it helps. I hope it helps the people that need it, and I hope it helps the people that are doing things wrong get better before I knock them out.
Love it. All righty. You are one of a kind. Let's roll this up here.
I love it. It's very funky jam.